Thank you, and it's a great opportunity to be here. I think I have like 12 to 15 minutes. Yeah, I think so, yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about is how we have progressed from last year talking about bits and pieces and the problems and new mobility hub in Chennai and Bangalore, and yeah, we're doing some work in Kerala too, to how actually some of these things have actually started to fall in place. You know, it's almost like a progress report, and also a little bit of strategy of how we've gone about it, so people from other parts of the world can probably copy or help us do a better job. Okay, last year we spent a lot of time talking about new mobility in Chennai. We talked about, talked to the highway department, we talked to the bus guys, we talked to the city guys. A lot of things we tried, and everybody liked the idea, and every time Sue and Dave come to Chennai, they get a very good reception, but nothing happens. You know, because it's difficult for people to figure out, okay, what do we do on the ground? What do we do? You know? So we started working with the city. We started talking about the basics of mobility. We started off with a project that purely involved pedestrian facilities, because being the pedestrian facility, as we all, I'm sure, agree, is the fundamental building block of transportation. You can't walk from your home or your work to the bus or the train or the helicopter. What's the point of talking about big stuff? But the problem was this. How do you scale it? It's one thing to talk about a little itty-bitty bus stop here, or new mobility hub bus stop, or a new mobility hub lamppost. How do you translate this into a citywide issue? So what we ended up doing is that we took up actually a huge challenge. What we realized is that the problem is capacity. In many other countries, I don't know how it is in the US and the Western world, in especially developing world, there is a huge capacity problem in the government, in the designer. Yesterday I also spoke about the same thing. So in order to get over it, what we figured is that you cannot go around tinkering with bus stops or itty-bitty pieces. You have to somehow bring in the big guys, the big experts, the big consultants. But how do you do it? That is the tough part. That's one challenge. So we took a place called T Nagar. I mean, think of it as one of the most chaotic places on earth. One of the most commercially dynamic places. You have thousands and thousands of street hawkers, absolutely expensive place, total chaos in terms of traffic and transit, cars going from across the city. Absolute chaos, tons of wealth, tons of poverty, it's all in one place. And so what we figured was that how do you transform that place? The whole idea of redevelopment. In a New York or a London, I suppose there would be an official redevelopment, somebody in the government. They would, I'm sure, like every year I hear talk about Jackson Heights redevelopment or Harlem redevelopment. So we wanted to see how do you do that in a city where you don't have that kind of capacity. So I'll just talk about this, and I'll tell you why new mobility hubs, how do they come in? Why am I talking about this in this conference? So anyway, quickly put, we wanted to create great quality of life in that area. We wanted to decongest the place, pedestrianize to begin with, and see how do you reduce the number of car population in the core of the city. How do you provide world-class facilities so that it's not just a chaotic place, but people go there to enjoy the place, shop and hang around with children and so on. Like every other city, nothing different here. I'll keep my punchline for some time. Major issues in most third world countries. Heavy traffic, nobody knows what to do about it. And interestingly, the hawker issue, informal sector. Somebody talked about social justice. What is amazing is that hawkers are capitalists. I mean, we look at them as beggars, we look at them as criminals, we look at them as people who are encroaching, etc., but they're basically business people. But what is amazing is that even in commercial districts, the first thing most people will talk about is how do you plan to kick these guys out? Commercial area without commerce. I mean, it's Orwellian almost. So anyway, that's a huge, there's a parking deficit. And one of the things I liked the whole idea, right from beginning when I heard about mobility hubs, is that you're not taking a stand that you're anti-car or pro-car. You're dealing with reality. This is not a fantasy camp. where you can keep talking about green technology and green this and green that, and on the ground we don't achieve anything. What we are saying is that you have to transition into a better world, to transition into a better future. You can't take an anti-car stance today, and a lot of projects around the world, especially in Delhi, for example, and I don't want to get into that, fail because they take a very fanatic position. And that, because we have to understand that it is people like you and me, the rich, the middle class, upper middle class, with car, we have tremendous say in every city. This is especially true in third world countries or developing countries. So it's nice to go to a seminar and talk about anti-car, but when we step out, we are not going to shoot ourselves in the foot. We're never going to be working against our own interests. So you have to figure out how do we move forward. This is again nothing, and what is amazing is that all the stuff I've talked about right now has been talked up generation after generation. Every generation talks about fixing this thing. It's like the Harlem of, rich Harlem of Chennai. Every generation talks about how do you pedestrianize, how do you, reduce the chaos, etc. So anyway, I'll just quickly, like I said in the beginning, the major problems, serious problems, lack of capacity in the local government. Unlike here, I'm amazed that a mayor of Ann Arbor stands here. He probably has more power and more capacity in his departments than probably the entire city of Chennai. I mean, even though Chennai is one of the biggest cities in the world. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, there's a serious capacity deficit. Lack of coordination, etc., etc. We all know this. I mean, even in the best of world, you have these problems. Multiplied by a million times, we have it in India. And then there are special interests, like any other city. I mean, what is amazing is that you can abstract these things and it's applicable to across the world. Anyway, good. Now, what do? What we realize is that to break the deadlock, you have to be proposing realistic ideas. Because no city planner, city manager is going to accept you sitting there and saying, pedestrianize. He'll say, yes, wonderful idea. How do I do it? Okay. So we did, just to give you a quick example, it's about a 1 kilometer radius right from the core of the shopping district. We did a lot of groundwork. Sue was there last summer and we sat with her, did mapping. Before that we had we knew pretty much a lot about the place. Components, there are buses, but in the wrong place. There are share autos, which everybody want to get rid of. We knew more about the place than most people over there. We knew exactly where the parking problems are, bottleneck, etc. Now, here's a question for you. How do you change a city or a piece of the city, especially when you're outside the power structure? My solution, I think, is color pictures. Color pictures, I know it sounds simple and, color pictures make a huge difference. And I have to do some injustice to my team because we had a lot of color pictures. I don't have time to show you all that. What we basically did was we said, when we first started talking to the city engineers, and they said, why are you wasting your time talking about pedestrian and hawkers? We got this wonderful plan to kick these guys out. So what we did was we went with pictures like this. Said, look at this. This place could be a particular street in T Nagar. Look at but then the question becomes, how do you create that big space for the pedestrian? Then we had some answers for that, etc. But point is, this again is we have some park called Panangal Park. It kind of looks like this, but far more chaotic, let's say. We said, look at the hawkers. Well, imagine this is T Nagar hawker. Why can't the hawker stall be in the shape and color and design of, let's say, Indian saris? I mean, around the world, saris are beautiful colors, and why not add hawkers as part of this place, bring vibrancy to the place, make it colorful, make it amazing so people want to go there, rather than cursing the color picture. So, amazingly, I've just shown you 3. I had probably 100 color pictures. Now, you can see the ideas sinking in. Because it's one thing to talk about Bogota, but you can compare a street in Bogota with your street and say, you know what, move that lamppost here, move this thing here, move that there. Do the homework for them. You can see that, in fact, one of the engineers just sat